7 Days of Wisdom, Aquaus Kelley, Tuesday, August 6, 2019. I am here in my new apartment, and as I was going through the process of moving in, I was given a move-in checklist. So upon looking through the checklist, not in detail, but just breezing through, I realized that I would need more time to actually look through the checklist in a concise manner. While doing this, I felt some reservation in regards to not making the decision to just sign immediately, which is understandable. However, more importantly, I know the importance of making the time to look through this agreement, to look through this checklist, and to look through anything that binds me to a particular agreement. And as I was thinking about this, I thought how this applies to all of our lives, because it's only a matter of time before we will have to sign some sort of agreement. We will have to sign a contract. We will be legally binded to something. So it's important that we make the time to read and understand and ask questions about any kind of paperwork we are given. A lot of times we just get what we want and we just sign off. We don't even necessarily pay attention to the paperwork. We may have a house, apartment, car. It's what we want. We have a general sense and idea of the terms, but we've never really looked through everything. And in doing business, I'm realizing the importance of making the time to sit down and understand what it is we are agreeing to, because once we sign our signature, we are agreeing to something. So if we are to agree to something, it's important that we have an understanding of what we're agreeing to. And no one, let me say, we cannot expect anyone to have our best interests in mind. When we have people that do have our best interests in mind, it's a plus. That's amazing. However, we cannot expect anyone to have our best interests in mind. So with knowing that, we always have to do our best to look out for ourselves and have our own best interests in mind and be able to advocate for ourselves. When we have this skill and ability to advocate for ourselves and step up and not feel uncomfortable doing it, because a lot of times it's uncomfortable having to look out for our own best interests can be uncomfortable. Having to speak up and speak out about things can be uncomfortable. But the more we do it, the more comfortable we get. The first time is always uncomfortable. Going against the grain. Everyone else is signing off. However, you're asking questions. We're asking questions. We want to know more. We are, in that case, the radical one. Asking the questions. Wanting to know information that no one else wants to know. But that's okay, because when a situation happens and we sign off on something that isn't in alignment with what we thought it was, who are we going to be upset with? Ourselves, because we shouldn't be upset with anyone else. So just like we should look out for our best interests, when our best interests aren't met, we really just have to blame ourselves. We can't blame anyone else. That's another important thing, is us being able to advocate for ourselves and look out for our best interests comes with taking the blame when our desires and interests aren't met, because that goes back to us lacking the ability to advocate for ourselves. So when we look at this dynamic, it all falls on us. The good, the bad, the positive, the negative, the happy, the sad. We have to take full responsibility for our actions and our ability to speak up and advocate for ourselves, as well as advocate for others when we feel we are in a position to do so. And when things fall apart or when things do not go as expected, we should not blame anyone but ourselves again. We must be able to take full accountability for the things that go wrong because of the mistakes we made or because of the things that we overlooked. So that's really all I wanted to get off my mind as I'm going through this experience, is the importance of advocating for ourselves, the importance of looking out for our best interests, the importance of looking out for the best interests of others as well. I mean, for me personally, that's important. For other people, that may not be as important, but it is for me. So I tend to look out for other people's best interests just as much as I look out for my own best interests. But I understand that not everyone operates that way, which is completely understandable. I wouldn't say it's fine, but it's understandable. And when we are not able, well, I can't say not able, but when things do not go as expected, I feel that it's important that we step up and take accountability for that, as opposed to pointing fingers and blaming other people. Even if it's not our fault or it's something that we didn't do, for us to step up and take it on the chin says a lot about us as an individual. And I believe that everything comes around full circle. So that will be balanced out, you know? There have been times where I've done that in the past, and everything tends to balance itself out. So that's not something that I'm scared of doing. It's not something that we should be scared of doing. And it allows us to become better people at the end of the day as well. So the main gist of this video, I would say, is to not be afraid to advocate for ourselves, not be afraid to take the time to read and look through paperwork prior to signing it, not being afraid to ask questions, not being afraid to feel uncomfortable, not being afraid to look like an outcast, not being afraid, because when we are afraid, we make decisions that force us to look back and say, why did I do that? Or why didn't I do that? And instead of having to live life in hindsight, we should live life thinking forward, so that we are better prepared and in a better place when it comes to feeling comfortable about where we are and where our future lies, based on the decisions that we make today. So with that being said, be an advocate for self, look out for self-interest, look out for the interests of others, have a good heart. Don't be afraid to step up and be accountable for things that we do, decisions we make. Sometimes we may have to just step up and take accountability for things that we don't do. I believe that's a part of my definition of leadership, is just stepping up and taking it to the chin. And when we apply these principles and practices to life, I truly believe that it will make us stronger people, and we will come out on the better side of it. So with this being said, Aquaus Kelley, 7 Days of Wisdom, A Lover's Ambition. Peace.